You won't believe this, but there's a woman in our neighborhood, let's call her Karen, who tried to drag a charity shop to court over $2. Yes, you heard that right, $2. She claimed it was illegal and somehow expected the law to bend to her every whim. What happened next will make you question the meaning of common sense and patience. It all began one sunny Saturday morning when the local charity shop, a small place run by volunteers to support families in need, opened its doors for a weekend sale. Among the dozens of customers browsing for discounted books, clothes, and household items, Karen appeared. But Karen wasn't just shopping, she was on a mission. According to the volunteers, Karen picked up a small item, a key decorative candle priced at $2. She approached the counter, and instead of paying quietly, she began scrutinizing the receipt, asking an endless series of questions about tax codes and legal compliance. At first, the cashier, a young woman named Emily, tried to politely explain that all sales were legal and properly documented. But Karen didn't stop. Karen insisted that the shop was operating outside the law, claiming that charging $2 for a donated item somehow violated state regulations. She even brought up unrelated statutes she barely understood, waving a printed page at Emily like it was a sword. Other shoppers watched in disbelief as Karen continued her rant, loudly insisting that she would not allow illegal sales in this town. Things escalated quickly when she stormed out, only to return with a phone and declare she was calling her lawyer. She demanded that the store refund the $2 immediately, even though she had not yet purchased anything. Volunteers tried to calm her down, explaining that the shop was a registered charity, fully compliant with all laws, and that her complaint was baseless. Karen, however, refused to listen. By noon, the small shop had drawn a crowd, not for the sale, but for Karen's dramatic performance. People whispered and took videos as she declared she would see them in court. Meanwhile, Emily and the volunteers could only shake their heads, wondering how a single $2 item could spark such an absurd legal threat. This story didn't end there, though. The next day, things took an even crazier turn when Karen actually filed official complaints, citing obscure regulations in a bid to shut down the charity shop entirely. The volunteers knew they had to respond carefully, but they couldn't help laughing at the audacity. Do you want me to continue with Chapter 2, where the courtroom showdown unfolds and Karen's $2 battle reaches an unbelievable climax? When the news spread that Karen had actually filed a legal complaint over a $2 candle, the community couldn't believe it. But the charity shop volunteers were determined to face her claim head-on. They gathered receipts, tax documents, and letters from the local charity board proving their operations were entirely lawful. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. This was a legal battle over $2 measly, yet it had attracted attention from neighboring towns and even local media. On the day of the court hearing, Karen arrived in full dramatic fashion. She carried a thick folder of printed papers, muttering to anyone who would listen about the illegal practices of the charity shop. Emily, the cashier, and a couple of volunteers sat quietly on the bench, hoping the judge would see reason. The courtroom was small, but the tension felt massive. Karen began her argument with the same confidence she had shown in the store, reciting obscure regulations she barely understood. The judge listened patiently, occasionally raising an eyebrow, as Karen insisted that the $2 item somehow violated laws about charitable transactions. When she finally demanded that the court shut down the shop, murmurs rippled through the courtroom. People could hardly believe someone would dedicate hours of their life to fight over $2. Then it was the charity shop's turn. Emily explained calmly how the shop operated, emphasizing its charitable mission, volunteer efforts, and meticulous record-keeping. She presented receipts and documents, showing that every sale, no matter how small, was accounted for and completely legal. The judge examined the paperwork and asked Karen a few pointed questions about her claims. Karen struggled to answer. Her arguments, once forceful in the store, began to crumble under scrutiny. She cited the wrong statutes, misinterpreted legal language, and even admitted she hadn't spoken to a lawyer before filing the complaint. The judge leaned back, clearly unimpressed. After a tense pause, the verdict came. The court dismissed Karen's complaint entirely, ordering her to pay the charity shop's minor court fees. As Karen left the courtroom, red-faced and muttering, the volunteers couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and amusement. The community celebrated quietly, knowing that common sense and charity had prevailed over absurdity. And the $2 candle? It remained on the shelf, still waiting for someone who actually wanted it. In the end, this wasn't just about $2. It was about a woman who tried to bend the law to her will and the courage of a small charity that refused to be intimidated. Karen may have lost the battle, but the story of her $2 obsession became a legend in the neighborhood, reminding everyone that sometimes the smallest things reveal the biggest absurdities. If you enjoyed this crazy story of HOA Karen and her $2 obsession, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another unbelievable neighborhood showdown. Drop a comment below telling us what you would do if you faced a Karen like this. And don't forget to smash that like button if this story made you laugh or shook your head in disbelief. Your support helps us bring more wild, real-life stories straight to your screen.